my buddy Dash for this episode of Double Take. Dave, I just said joined by Dash, but we're joined by Dash and Dave.
Third person. That's
Third person.
weird.
The way you feel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Match Day Mixdown. Recap, crap cap. We're here to talk to you about a lot of stuff, actually. Some interesting stuff happened in the Premier League. Sheffrin decided, what the fuck's plagiarism, as long as I make money from it. And Juve can't catch a break against Atalanta. And a lot of mixed reviews on social media about it. So we've got some stuff.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
We're good. We're early. We said screw it. We started 5 minutes early. I don't know. I think we just need to get the verbal diarrhea out today because there's a few little tangents to go down. So we might as well just get ahead of the game and start going down some of these rabbit holes and just getting them out of the way. So Dash, where do we start on this one?
I think we start with Sheffrin, right? I mean, if you guys have been living under a rock or not on social media for the past couple of hours, UEFA held secret talks, air quotes, secret talks with the European Football Club Association, or the ECA, about potentially scrapping the Champions League morphing it into a new league format. I can't, man. It's just it's hilarious. It really is, because UEFA says, hey, we're doing 3 leagues, 18 teams a pop for each league with promotion and relegation. And if you look at it, earlier in 2023, you want to know who else came up with that?
Are we allowed to even say his name? He's not even part of football right now.
I mean, the guy that they blacklisted. That guy, I'm just kind of saying it's a little, not even a little, it's highly suspect, right? I mean, it goes to show. I wasn't expecting that. That was actually really
very mysterious.
Well done, you. Well done. Totally caught me. Got me. Me knickers in a twist. Yeah. Everything that, the European Super League, the ESL, all of that stuff. Apparently now UEFA think it's so cool, we're going to copy the shit out of it. And is there anything you can do about it? Nope. No.
What could they do? Is there anything at all that A22, that's the name we haven't spoken of probably a year now? A22 and whatever, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, whatever they had going. Is it dead? Is there anything they can do? What happens now? Or is this just more lawsuit? I feel there's more lawsuits.
I would have to. I mean, what is it? And this is what pisses me off about UEFA and what an absolute joke of an organization they are. It's like they threatened Juve over the summer to pull out of it, right? Allegedly. They threatened us to do that because apparently clubs getting their fair share of money is absolutely outrageous and makes no sense. So I'm just saying to all you prem heads, and I'm looking at the pundits and the professionals and all those schnobs that are like, the Super League is terrible. It's not good for football. Well, guess what? Your Lord and Savior Alexander Sheffrin literally copied the same flippin' concept and is trying to push for that concept in 2027.
So I'm interested because it hasn't really started rolling off yet. It hasn't really entered my feed, all the pundits. I feel like that's going to be perhaps tomorrow morning. I get a lot of that because it did break this morning. So I can't wait till these exact same pundits
Start saying how
completely flip the
amazing it
script.
is. Yeah, say
Yeah.
how amazing it is. Like that one guy, he's like, it's an absolute failed PR job done by Agnelli and Florentino Perez, and it's an absolute screw job. And then now he's gonna say, this is the greatest thing for football that there is. Now you're getting some up and coming clubs that are able to get some financial stability, so they can be a little bit better. Like that's what you're gonna hear now. Because to be honest with you, the only reason why the original Super League kind of fumbled was because the Premier League clubs pulled out because they're boneheaded fans over there. We're just like, I don't want this. This is terrible. I don't even know.
Anything for a riot, man.
It was ridiculous. And like, well, guess what, you schmucks? You're getting it now.
Yeah, you're getting it. Whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
Guys, please like and subscribe. Do it now. You're starting to roll in because it's now actually 5:30 when we said we were going to start. So yeah, I guess we couldn't hold back on that whole UEFA thing. So welcome in. Please like, please subscribe, and please let us know in the chat how you feel. Are you just finding out about this now? Are we breaking this to you, or did you hear the news break earlier today? What are your thoughts? Mine's just kind of like, I don't know. Like I looked at it this morning and I was just like, nah.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke, and then Rav like actually confirmed it on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I was like, all right, let me read this. And then I read it, and then it's the same. It's literally the same bleeping thing.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's legit.
Like holy hell.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just gonna say, and I've been keeping receipts. I'm gonna be petty for all those schmucks that were like the Super League's a bad thing. If you come around here changing your tune, saying, "Oh, UEFA's doing an amazing job," that's all I'm gonna say. And it's just ironic. I mean, like, and it's like you look at it too, and I look at it, the FIGC apologists, right? That they're like, "Oh, Serie A, this Serie A, Gravina, FIGC." And then, like, they're the same people that when Gravina and them were complaining about the Super League, yeah, Serie A is more important than the Super League. And then it's like, I'm very curious to see now. I want to see all the punditry. I want to see all the shenanigans. Like, I can't wait to see it now. Like, I'm just so curious to see how many people flip their script.
So, I mean, it's here. You can read it if you want. It's pretty long. It's pretty wordy. It does get into it. I'm actually just really interested at this point, more so. Yeah, what you say, what the pundits are gonna say, and if this is just gonna go through, if this is like, oh yeah, this is cool, yeah, I like this, yeah, novel idea. Let's go ahead with the. Does it get swept under the rug, or is there more outrage, and do people start going to war over this?
I'm just irritated because we got extorted from this, and we are
Mhm.
choosing that screwed over this.
And
Just
you
for
know what? I know Richard from All Things Elvalad. He was anti Super League, so he might be interested to get on the show and talk again.
yeah, I'd love to hear what he says.
Yeah, interesting. We'll look into that. But Eric KB saying UEFA's mafia. I mean, you could definitely make parallels to it for sure. VAR is fixed. Whoever pays the VAR team the most wins. We'll get into that a bit too.
Yeah, Liverpool is a shit show. Like an absolute shit show in regards to VAR.
So now that they're going to do the UEFA Super League, the A22 model is still the better concept. I'll really have to break it down. That might be an interesting thing too, to get into it a bit deeper and actually do like a side-by-side comparison of what the two models are.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll do that like later on in the week.
what I've heard, it's 3 leagues of 18 for the UEFA one.
Well, I mean, you can read it with me as well. Like I said, it's pretty wordy.
No, I think yours is the that one's a Swiss model.
So
Yeah,
that's the
it's
Swiss
24.
model one.
That is a Swiss one. I got you here. I
I had a feeling that the 24-25 edition. This is what next year's going to look like.
Yeah, this one's for 27. So this one right here. Let me do it with their accent because now I just want to be an asshole. Rearing its ugly head, UEFA considering a Super League with relegations and possible weekend games, meaning the end of the Champions League. Because, you know,
This is still the Sun, though. That's why I was looking for something official.
The other one
I don't trust the Sun. I clearly don't trust the Sun.
Yeah, I don't blame you. The other one had a bunch of ads, and I just didn't want to show all the ads on here.
And Tal's saying the A22 concept funnels money to clubs. The UEFA model funnels money to UEFA. Yeah, that's going to be a key concept there outside of just how the format looks. Yes. I mean, we can talk about how it's structured and all that, but then there's also the business end of things as well, which is a completely different beast. So thanks for clarifying that, Tal. That is something you can go. We can discuss separately. And yeah, I mean, in that sense, do the teams buy in and knowing that there is a competing model out there? Of course, I mean, the mafia, you can't go against the boss, you know? Like once you're already committed, you can't just go against them. Can't go against the family. So it's the next few days. It's going to be, we might have to do like a Thursday.
We might. Yeah.
We might have to, just to see if things like really pick up steam and blow off. We might have to really dive into this topic as it develops throughout the week. I just don't know enough yet.
Yeah, and here's where it gets funny. So 3 leagues of 18 teams each, and then they'll be renamed as respectively the Super League, trademark, and then the Europa League, and then the Aspiring League.
No, you can't.
Name.
You cannot use that name.
So terrible.
Just for having that name in there alone, no, it's a failure. This whole thing's a failure.
And then here's where I thought it was funny. So, in regards to relegation, so they have also requested that the relegation from the Super League is determined by an average of 3 to 5 seasons instead of 1. The hell kind of relegation model is that?
3 or 5. How is that gonna work then? So is it like a coefficient thing again?
I guess so.
Just to confuse the hell out of the whole thing, just so they can hide their numbers and script it however they please.
Yeah, they're like, hey, can you do a rolling average of 3 to 5 seasons instead of a single season relegation? Newsflash: if you suck, you suck. You're done. Like, I mean, that's honestly it to it. Like,
this is getting worse and worse as we look into it.
It is. It's absolute blasphemy. Like, I thought the Qatar World Cup was a shit show, but you add this now, it's even more.
Speaking of Qatar, Grand Prix this weekend. I haven't talked about F1 in a while, so there you go, and I'm done. Tell saying, can we have a French Revolution, but instead of royals, we just do the UEFA board? Yeah, I mean, in that sense. Does that have to be a French Revolution? Can't we just like do
a Canadian Revolution?
A Canadian could. I'd fight over some maple syrup.
I would too. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. I went to a farmer's market and I got some straight from the tree syrup. It was like $20 for a quart, but it was definitely worth it.
Oh, it's
some good shit.
I do it myself, so
I know I'm so jealous.
So good.
I just wanted to be Dave for a minute and have like actual tree syrup.
It's just really not that hard, man. Like if they're right there, they're just like asking to be tapped.
You just tap.
Yeah,
the tree's looking at you. Tap me, Daddy.
Yeah. And I do. I tap that bitch.
It's like I tap it with the hammer. I give it the hammer and the stake.
No.
And then it's just flowing.
I use the drill. There's actually a special bit that you can buy. It cuts it at a different angle. It's supposed to be nicer to the tree.
I see.
So I should invest in that one of these years. You know, it's like a $40 bit, one of those like super specialty things. But
syrup, things, syrup stuff.
Yeah. It's just a 38 soul. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That's quite interesting. Alrighty, so I'm gonna briefly touch moving on. Transition. No. So here's the thing. So like folks that are just joining in, you just kind of missed like a 14-minute bitch fest about the Super League, the UEFA Super League, instead of the A22 Super League. Look, UEFA right now is the definition of the kid that cheats through college. Like, literally, that's what it is. Oh, hey, it's a great model. People actually like it. Makes sense. Cool. We'll take it. The only difference is we'll take 80% off the top. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to wait until we hear some more stuff in regards to UEFA releasing the news from the Super League. But other than that, all I'm going to say is it's an absolute plagiarism job.
Speaking about taking it off the top, we find out here that Tal prefers the French Revolution because of the guillotine. That's the kicker for him. I mean that's kind of cool because it's a French. It was of the era, a French design, made and perfected in France. So it was only fitting that I kind of did them in themselves. Came back around. Yeah.
We like to call that a nice big piling stew of irony.
Yes, the irony of it all. Guy Tino saying hi on a happier note.
We haven't seen him in a long time.
No, we haven't. Where'd he be, man?
He hates us. He's like that Dave and Dash guy. They speak of nonsense.
Those guys.
Those goobers.
Okay, so that was the Super League. So
yes. So I'm going to briefly touch the Premier League. We're going to spend some time in Serie A today, but kind of going over the Premier League. Some of the matches that I thought were interesting was Aston Villa. Here's my thing with De Zerbi, right? He's either really hot or really flipping cold. There is no in the middle. Like, no in the middle in regards to that. So I forgot to share my screen because I'm a terrible host. But
you're pretty bad, yeah. I don't know why
bad
I do this with you at all.
I know, I suck. So Villa and Brighton, 6-1. Villa absolutely spanked Brighton. And like, it's a consistent thing. And like, De Zerbi, I remember he was making digs at the Premier League before this game. And it's like, come on, man. Like,
that's pretty embarrassing there, I gotta say.
That is to Villa, which I thought was interesting. Like, come on. And the thing is like, this isn't what you want if you're looking at Juve's next coach. Like, could you imagine Twitter if he like lost a game, if he lost to Sassuolo 6-1?
I don't want to imagine what that would be like.
Like, that is ridiculous. Like, he'll win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. It's just the consistency. That's what irritates me.
LJJ wants to give De Zerbi some time.
We can give him time. I mean, he's got all of that, but it's hard to root for the guy. It's just really hard to root for him at this point because it's like it's just the inconsistency. It's like Ten Hag, right? Because look at that, Manchester United lose to Crystal Palace.
Yep,
at home.
Another big loss there.
Yeah, and like I understand these. I understand the thing is like, yeah, Ten Hag, offensive, blah blah blah, and like, look, you're losing at home too, and arguably his squad is really freaking expensive.
Yeah, it really is. Tal preferring Dionisi or Palladino.
Dionisi had impressive back-to-back wins against us and Inter, so and like going into San Siro and beating them, so I'll give him some credit for that, but because I think we can all agree. I mean, Allegri's doing fine as a placeholder, but like there's things where it's just like
I'm just not convinced on what any of the options may be at this point either.
Yeah,
right? That's my hold up. Is I'd rather just stick with him unless I know for sure, because we're still having this conversation for a couple years now. Really, we're still having the same conversation, and there is no real majority camp one way or the other. And I mean, names trend. Like Tudor, for instance, he trended very heavily there for a while. People jump on that bandwagon, but overall, there isn't like, yes, this is the next name that like 80% of the Juventini out there, like, yeah, it's just like banding behind.
Yeah, and so LJJ says he might give him more time because he's overhyped for no reason. Okay, I gotcha. What else? David Moyes winning again, the Moyesiah, doing some work with West Ham against Sheffield. This one was interesting that City lost against Wolves. And that one was interesting, right? Because I didn't expect them to really lose per se.
I don't think anybody on any given day expects them to lose, but I mean, they will lose a couple throughout the season.
Yeah, it's normal, but yeah, that was just an odd loss. This one, I'm going to shout out Chelsea. They finally got a win. They finally got one, and hats off to Armando Broja, fellow Albanian, got the opening goal for them. He's a very good striker. I recommend you guys take a peek at him. Quick, agile, fast, coming back from an ACL injury. So really really big goal for him. So I'm happy for that. And also, we need him to qualify for the Euros because Albania plays the Czech Republic in 3 weeks, and I need him to score so we can make it to Europe. But my biases aside, this is the match that I wanted to talk about that kind of caused a lot of shit all over the place is Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. So I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, it was 2 actually.
2, yes.
So the one thing I kind of want to say is VAR is an absolute joke.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a team blatantly screwed out of. And look, I understand. Look, I'm not trying to say I support Liverpool or blah, 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 because we all remember back in the 80s, the whole Liverpool shenanigans. If you guys don't, I recommend you look it up. But I have to call a ball and strike here. The goal, it was Diaz's goal was not offside. I don't know what line they used. Maybe they used the same line that FIGC used against Salernitana and us last season. But Diaz completely onside. Their lines were messed up. That's what they said after the game. So like the English FA released a statement. Our lines glitched. That's why he was offside. And then if you watch the Jones foul, and I can't show any of those clips on here because of copyright, Jones steps on the ball and the ball rolls and his foot rolls off the ball and into the ankle of Basuma. And they gave him a straight red card for that.
Yeah.
So like
Shenanigans.
It's not. Look, you can debate. Maybe you can say it's a yellow card, but I don't expect that as a red card, especially because he steps on the ball. The ball's rotating. So physics, people, like you step on a ball that's moving, your foot's going to get carried over by momentum. It's not going to be a bunch of force, but I thought it wasn't fair. I mean, the second yellow card that went on Diego Jota, I mean, Jota was just being a dumbass when he tackled Udoge for that. But this game, I was really, really disappointed here. And Klopp, and here's the thing, look, Klopp had every right to be pissed off. Every right to be pissed off for this game because this game was an absolute joke. You essentially, look, you can't say much about Tottenham. Tottenham came in, they played, they won what was dealt with in front of them. It's not like Tottenham told the officials, hey, this is what we want. This is what you guys need to do. Liverpool, so this was from 90 minutes. So they actually wanted, so I'm actually going to pull this up here for you guys because that's the one thing I like about FOTMob is they actually have the news articles pertaining to stuff here. But so right now, this is really the controversy that's going on right now. Liverpool is requesting VAR audio for the disallowed Luis Diaz goal. So if that goal went through, Liverpool would have been 1-up going into halftime instead of losing 1-0. Diaz seeing the opener that was chalked off. I'm wondering if they have some images of the positioning, but it was really, really sketchy. Really, really sketchy. But so look, it's football. I understand it, but at the same time, that was atrocious. It was a really atrocious game.
If I can be selfish, it's a little nice to hear it coming from England this week.
No, absolutely.
And not coming from Serie A.
You know, the thing is like what I thought was interesting. So I was kind of checking in with some premies. They have a very bad reffing issue in England. And we're used to it on Serie A, but like, you know, we think referees in Serie A are terrible, but like the Premier League refs are an absolute joke. Like the guy that reffed this game was reffing games in Saudi before he came and did this game. Like this officiating crew, like I've heard a lot about the English officiating crew just being absolutely terrible.
Is it one of those things though? Every league thinks their reffing is the worst.
Is it? But I don't know. Maybe because like if I look at some of the stuff with us, like
it hasn't been that bad, honestly, this year so far. I mean, you can go back to Salernitana last year, and that was the big news about this time, I think, as well. Earlier season, anyways, and I mean, it's bound to happen, and I mean, it happens in the Premier League this time around. Last year, this time, it happened in Italy.
Yeah,
you're always gonna have this. It's just because, like everything, England is or the Premier League, it's blown out of proportion. More eyes are on it. It gets more airtime, means more people on Twitter bitching about it. Essentially, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and look, I agree with them asking for the audio tapes to be released
No,
because,
absolutely.
like that's what surprises me, right? How can an officiating crew not release their audio tapes?
Well, because they're hiding something. Like if you got nothing to hide, then sure, here it is. Go.
Like, granted, don't get me wrong, the NFL like releases audio tapes, and they had a yuck up of a call against the Chiefs and Jets last night, which I thought was wild. But like, I don't know. It's just my irritation is like, you're a referee. You've got a job to, like, you have one job to do. And like, I understand if it's a 50-50 call, like it'll, it's how the game is. But when you have something blatant, like something extremely obvious, like, come on now. Like,
And listen,
do better.
they're humans. They're gonna make mistakes. All we're asking is for some transparency, and that when you do screw up, you just admit it and be like, "Yeah, this is what happened." We look at these things, we learn from them, and when you do it in that sense, we're like, "Yes, we're gonna learn so we can get better." And if we do it transparently and hopefully get support from the fan base because we're handling it in such a professional manner that they can actually grow from that. But if you keep on hiding, you lose the trust of the fans, and any little screw up that you do now, they're going to be down your throat, especially those drunk Englishmen.
Absolutely.
My wife's in the background mocking. Yeah,
That's funny.
she's having fun with me.
So, and the thing is like this does have major implications on the table. So, like for example, Liverpool, if had they won that, and I think they should have because they played better, especially even being a man down, they'd be 19 points. They'd be a point clear from Manchester City. Like that. That's just that's wild.
It stings. It stings.
Oh, it stinks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But alas, other than that, Man United and Chelsea doing shitty, which is, like the sun shining every day. What else is new? But again, I need to see more, man, from this De Zerbi guy. I don't understand it. You have hands down, like if you look at the top six, his goals against is the worst compared to everyone there.
He's leaky.
He's very leaky. But he just talks too much. That's just what irritates me. He talks way too much. Like, dude, win something.
He is Italian. All right, let's move on. Is it time to go down to another league, La Liga here? Yeah, let's go to Spain. What do we have?
So, Spain, Real Madrid currently in first place on the league table with Barcelona right behind him, and Girona following up with 2 points away from the top. So, this match week was actually interesting because there was a very, very interesting game. I need to find it. It was October 6th. There we go. I don't like how it doesn't preset by rounds. That's what irritates me.
Oh, he's gonna blame the FOT mob because it's not set up for his soccer stream that he does on the side once in a while.
I know. How could they? How could they? So looking at the recent matches here, so Atletico Madrid beating Osasuna, Real Madrid beating Las Palmas, and Barcelona tying 2-2, or actually forcing a tie with Mallorca, which was interesting because Barcelona was down from Murici and Prats. And then Rafinha and Lopez responding to get Barcelona on level terms there. But Ter Stegen looked really terrible that game as far as his goalkeeping. So
4.6.
Yeah, very poor, especially in a draw, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And then Real Madrid and Girona continuing their winning ways, really pushing up for the table. Girona's actually a nice surprise this season. They run a 4-5-1. I mean, it's typical what you see in Spain. A lot of Spanish teams are heavily conducive when it comes to midfield play, but they've been doing well. Girona's been getting some solid results. If you look at their recent results here, they just got spanked by Real 3-0, but they're still doing pretty decent. But holding up third, they're keeping Atletico Madrid in fourth place. But other than that, not really anything crazy or anything super controversial that happened there. So we'll kind of move on over to another league.
On past into France, Germany. Where are we going?
Tal said Girona's owned by Citigroup. Oh, that explains everything.
Another one.
So we'll head out to Germany. So the one thing that I don't find as a surprise that a lot of people do is Bayern Leverkusen have absolutely been tearing it up recently, and they
Yeah,
still are
crazy,
tearing
eh?
it up with. Absolutely. They are the definition of a full offensive team. 20 goals scored, only 6 conceded. It matches Bayern Munich, but 3-0 against Mainz. Just the only difference here is Bayern drew against Leipzig, so that was kind of harsh on them. Leipzig opened it up at the 20 and 26th minute, and not Bayern Munich just not looking good defensively this season when they're playing against teams that have any kind of decent offense.
They're going through heavy shakeup too, though, in the back offices. I think there's a lot of instability throughout that club, and this may be the year where
That they
they
finally drop it. They
yeah.
finally become Juve. No, I'm just kidding. They finally became us. The interesting thing is right now they're planning. So some news coming out of the Bayern camp is that Bayern Munich are working on trying to get Jerome Boateng back out of retirement to play
Really.
because their defense is that bad. Speaking of
And
which, who isn't in their defense? Starts with a D, rhymes with a shit.
you know what's hilarious? So just I'm nerding out here on my FC24 career. I'm playing the Juve career, and just after the the summer transfer closes, I didn't even realize, but Bremer has a 95 million release clause that Roma activated. So I still have Bremer till January. I'm gonna get the 95 mil, and then I have to consider. And one of the names is, do I get Delict back onto Juve?
That's actually funny. He's probably good in FIFA, just terrible in real life.
Probably. Yeah. So is Vlahovic. He's great in FIFA.
Oh yeah,
At least 2 goals a match.
It's like he does some of the weirdest turns and shots in that game, and you're just like, oh, shit, why can't you do that in real life?
Oh man. Anyways,
Same thing with Keane.
Yeah, Keane as well. Milik, all of them.
Alrighty.
Let's stop nerding out though. Let's get back to the real footy.
Fine. All right. So moving over to France, Monaco back on top of the table. They did drop a little bit, and Brest was your number one team. But again, PSG, it's maybe Luis Enrique, but they are just not handling it quite well as far as their movement. They tied against Clermont. Did I say that right? You're a French guy.
Yeah, Clermont foot. You forgot the very English foot part instead of pied.
Pied. What if it was just named Clermont Pied?
You would think, but no,
right?
it's for English.
So this is interesting. I've never seen Luis Enrique run with a back three, but he ran with a back three here with Piera Skriniar Marquinhos.
All the cool kids are doing it.
All the cool kids are doing it. It goes to show. God dang it, Conte. But Hakimi is a right wing back. Barcola there. Mbappe, Muani. It's just they have a really bad number 9 problem. The other thing too is that a lot of people might not know. PSG have kind of gone away from the flashy superstar signings because really their only main superstars Mbappe and Hakimi. They've moved away from that more so because they're trying to build a more younger / kind of what Juve are doing.
They have to rebuild.
Yeah. Because apparently when we do something, everybody copies us.
And we're going to get Donnarumma.
Yes, we're going to get Donnarumma because he's making bank over there. Donnarumma.
Yeah. You think he comes in a couple years?
I don't know. I really don't know. It just depends on how the position of goalkeeper evolves over the years because goalkeepers nowadays, everyone wants their goalkeeper to play like freaking Pirlo instead of stop shots.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
It's so weird.
And we don't like that. We're a bunch of old man that we don't want anything to change ever.
It's gotta. Well, what's the point of being able to dribble and pass if you can't stop a flipping shot?
So you can play out of the back with your 4-3-3 complete football, which is now apparently all just changing to 3-5-2 counter attack anyway. So
yeah, no, it's kind of funny how tiki taka is absolutely like even Pep Guardiola plays with a back three, which is just ironic.
Yeah. So alrighty. I think that'll change.
Yeah.
So we're back to the boots.
We're back to home, and I'm gonna tear into some stuff here a little bit. Yeah. Alrighty, opening the weekend, Napoli absolutely slap Lecce. Lecce's they've fallen from the tree in a sense. Lecce was up the Serie A tree where everyone's like, how'd they climb up there? And then now they're just gone. Milan absolutely putting Sarri into the unemployment line, or as I would like to say, what is the Sarri's balls?
Yeah, Lazio or Sarli is getting hit by the big teams here and not looking great.
And Sarri and Lotito are complaining of who whines more. Salernitana Inter, this game was 0-0 going into like the 60th-ish minute. Yeah. And then Inter said, "Hey, Lautaro, can you do this?" Lautaro comes in, drops 4.
You know what
Go
the
ahead.
scary thing, because I caught parts of both the Milan games. They did it so easily is what was kind of worrisome, right? Like no struggle.
Yeah, well, it's because Ochoa is trash. I said it.
Yes, but they still put 4 in half an hour.
Yeah. Bologna getting a 3-0 win against Empoli. Genoa and Udinese tying 2-2. That was actually a fun game to watch. I watched that one.
Speaking of not fun games,
I'm not going to cover that one until the end. I refrained to comment on that one from the end. Roma beating Frozen Nun, just to piss Dave off. 2-0 with Lukaku getting a goal. Lukaku honestly looking saucy, and Dybala with 2 assists. Yeah, with 2 assists. But hey, look, I'm just saying, folks, if Lukaku drops a 20-piece this season in Rome, I don't want to hear anyone saying that guy was terrible. I wouldn't be surprised if Juve tried to purchase him next summer because he's only there for a dry loan.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying.
Oh boy.
He came in and went to Roma and started cooking.
Chelsea might need him though next year.
No, I don't think Chelsea. I think burnt bridges. I heard that they want to trade Dusan for Lukaku again, and they'll offer a bag of chips and some Doritos. That's why Dusan's got a bad back. Alrighty, so Sassuolo. This is the team that pisses me off the most.
Yeah, because they're all over the place.
They do really good fucking games, and then they shit some other games. They lost 1-0 to Monza. I'm like, ugh. It irritates me, right? They rotated their squad here. Obviously, there's some squad rotation, but look, you beat Inter and Juve back to back, and then you lose at home to Monza. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, all over the place.
And Monza, and the thing is like Monza's DiGiorno. That's what they get their pizza. That's how they eat their pizza. DiGiorno. Like they have like an all-star pizza as their goalkeeper, but yeah, like look, Monza dominated them at home. That's what just surprises me. Like I don't.
Monza's frustrating too, though. That's the thing.
Monza and Sassuolo are 2 of the most. Ironically, they're really right next to each other on the table, but like those 2 are the most frustrating teams ever. I could imagine being a Sassuolo fan or a Monza fan. Like the amount of frustration that they must have week in, week out, because it's like, holy hell, we beat Inter and Juve. We're gonna start running, and then you lose to Monza, and it's like, what, huh? Torino and Hellas Verona. It's my thing is I'm actually kind of worried about playing Ivan Juric because his defenses look pretty solid this season.
It's gonna be another boring game.
It's gonna be a hella boring game. But the difference about Torino that's different from the previous years is that they have Zapata, so they actually have a capable number 9.
Yes,
even though they're
older Zapata now, which I mean, he was coming off the bench the past couple of years, and now he's pretty much the number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think let me see what their goals for and against are. Yeah, they've only let in 7, but they've only scored 6, so they still struggle offensively, but they're not afraid to go for a draw. I think they've got the most draws outside of Bologna.
They will 100% go for a draw.
Yeah, and then I think the final match in this one, I am cringing at myself, but I'm going to cover it, and I didn't give you guys the
You see what he does? Like, he wasn't part of the stream at all yesterday.
I made it short.
3.5 hours, just struggling through it as he's at the restaurant. And I was just like, oh my God, look how I got to talk about it now.
Well, because the thing is like, I can't, like, I do want to be positive, right? Holy hell, what the hell did they give Rabiot a 7.3 for?
Yeah, man, he's amazing.
Dude had concrete boots. But my thing is this. So someone gave me a comment or feedback saying, Dash, you can't go off of the game because of the statistics, right? And if you look at the stats, look at the momentum Atalanta had the entire game. So like the higher, and just for you guys at home, the higher the peak, the more dangerous it is, and that's what she said. But look at the momentum spells, and you look at ours.
It's the depth of the thrust.
It is the depth of the thrust, and Atalanta were thrusting us vigorously.
Look at those peaks.
Very peaky.
Multiple.
Repetitive,
multiple, successive. I'm just kind of throwing them words out there now, but it was
powerful thrusts.
Look at all that blue.
Yeah, it's just very bulgy, very intense. But look, I understand that, like, hey, yeah, Keane, like. So I'm figuring out my words here, right? So I saw a lot of things where everyone's like, hey, we kept Atalanta to 0 shots on target until like the very end. Congratulations. You had nothing on the other end. Like, the only time I look at 0 shots on target is if Juve's playing Man City and we win 1 or 2-0. Then I'm like, hell yeah, we held them to 0 shots on target. A 0-0 scoreline with holding them to 0 shots on target tells me one thing. You played not to lose. That's the honest truth. And this is where I hold and I put my hat on and I say Allegri is responsible for that. Look, I understand there's player mistakes, like holy hell, Rabiot can't take a touch to save his life. If you see my reel reviewing that game, I have that footage on there.
But see, I disagree with putting all on Allegri, because
not on him entirely, but I'm saying there's an aspect to it, right?
Sure, but they were all dead inside. Every player was dead inside.
It was lethargic.
As soon as they came into the tunnel, I was like, nope, not today. This is not going to be good.
Because, like, here's the thing, and like Beppe mentioned this morning. I watched this video. Milan lost. It's 5-1 to Inter. 5-1. They got spanked. They haven't lost since. Inter losing at home to Sassuolo 1-0. What did they do? 4-0 against Salernitana. Juve lose 4-2 to Sassuolo. Scrape by against Lecce. And then they kind of are really, and the thing is like, you can only blame so much on the coach and some on the players, right? These guys look mentally scared.
But listen, it's because we didn't have Dusson, because he's got to start back. It's all Keane's fault, right? You have to blame Keane. No, you got to blame Keane, right? Don't you?
No,
because I feel like this is
it's stupid.
That sentiment that was getting you angry, and I'm trying to get you going here.
but like the thing is like, my issue is our midfield are a bunch of children,
dummies. Yeah,
not dummies, but children. Like Miralem Pjanic said it best. He said, "Look, there's nobody mature in there besides Rabiot." Look, my thing is like Fagioli giving that pass to Keane when Keane was in an offside position, where you had Rabiot that was surging on the bottom end of the line. I want to support, like, I want to root for these, like, our young midfielders, but like Fagioli needs to be a little bit more mature in his decision making there, because he plays an offside guy that's a mile offside. It's Juve, and I said this to our guys in the chat, our main, like our Turn Giants chat, and I was like, we lack someone in the midfield that can take the game by its balls, because the issue is now that everyone has figured out Juve's wing play. It's a common knowledge, because the thing is now we're heavily dependent on whether or not Cambiasso or McKennie perform, or Weah perform. Like, our entire thing has become those three guys, because if those guys aren't cooking, Chiesa's left on an island to die, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Which he was.
He was, yeah.
He was. And now where you look at how Atalanta play, there wasn't a single Atalanta player covering the middle of the park. You want to know why? Because there was no Juve threat in the middle of the park, so they overloaded their wings. Mm-hmm. You had 3 Atalanta players on the left. You had 3 Atalanta players on the right. Cambiasso couldn't invert, because if he inverted, he would have been picked off. 3-on-1 counterattack, goal. Like, it baffles me, because, like, look, I'm not going to dunk on Locatelli. I'm not going to dunk on Miretti. I'm not going to dunk on Fagioli. But for me, what frustrates me, and this is probably their lack of maturity, or their lack of being an adult in footy sense, right? They're adults, but I'm saying as far as a primed mental thing, you have all that space in the middle. And then, like, for example, with Rabiot taking that bus touch, where he takes that touch and literally his touch was so heavy the ball goes to the touchline.
It was a heavy touch.
It's like you're in the middle. You have miles of space around you. Why are you running into that pass at full speed? It's almost like I understand if there's like fatigue, like I get that, but at the same time, Lecce was your first midweek game, and you played Lecce on Tuesday, and then you played Atalanta on Sunday. Like, do you really need that? Like, it's not even a 3-day gap.
We have less of the excuse because we're not playing midweek again this week. So Atlanta is. So I'm not accepting that one. But they were tired. That's the thing.
That's what surprises me. It's just how.
I wish I knew that answer, but they look like crap. Like I said, as soon as they were coming through the tunnel, you knew it. But so did Atalanta. They both look like crap.
Yeah, like, well, they did, but the thing is like they were self-inflicted crap because if Zappacosta knew how to finish properly, they would have been up within 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, his finishing was absolute trash, and
like
Ruggieri in the fullback position there just looked haggard the whole game. It looked like he looked like a millennial that you had to like ask to go cut the lawn, and he was just like, "Oh, really? Come on." Yeah, like they had some guys that looked like trash as well, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what irritates me because, like, I really think that we shouldn't have lost that. I think we should have gone there and beat them.
Yeah, but we look like shit. We just didn't show up either. That's all I'm saying. Nobody showed up. That's why the score is 0-0 because nobody showed the hell up to the game yesterday, and we sat there for 2 hours watching nothing.
So here's the clip. So I found a way to get through the copyright because it's still on YouTube and they haven't taken it down. Yes, but like that touch right there. Because, like, he's running into it full speed. Like, because the ball comes into him, and then he decides to just blast it that way, where it's like, if you look up there, you have Moise Kean on the diagonal. It's just like, I don't understand it. It's like I'm watching a pickup game in a sense. It's like I'm watching my Sunday League guys play, where it's...
Yeah, we're like, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But they're playing after Thanksgiving, and they're all just like trashed on turkey. And they're just like, I'm just gonna kick this ball around for an hour, and then I'm just gonna go home and have another beer.
Well, and the thing is, Dave, it's like you look at the mistakes that they committed. Most of them were fatigue mistakes.
Just sloppy laziness.
It's just, I'm surprised, man. Like, what do they do? Like, I mean, I understand that, like, Dusan and McKennie and all them, like, I see them in training, but like, I don't understand how they're not fit. Like, McKennie probably is maybe the most fit guy I've seen on the roster.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm gonna try to find it right here. The Office. It's an Office clip. You know, I'll get the image up anyways. So the context, anyways, is Michael is going to run a marathon. So he hears about this carb loading thing. You got to carb load when you do cardio, right? Well, what he does is carb load immediately before the race instead of the night before, like you're supposed to do. So this is what I'm thinking of. Like this, this is what was going on. They were just smashing their faces full of pasta right before the match, and then of course, I mean that's the face he has mid-race. So watch that episode if you haven't. But that's basically what happened yesterday.
And then if you want to be really fancy, I'll even show you the board, and I can kind of give you from my perspective what I saw yesterday.
Real fancy.
So
look at you.
I know, very fancy. So don't mind the numbers, but the idea works. So if you look at it here, most of Atalanta's players were hugging this area here. So they're pushing everything. So they've essentially clustered everything out wide. So Chiesa's trying to make something happen over here. And then you have Keane, and then you have one defender, and then like that. This was pretty much the entire game. Nobody occupying the middle space from Juve. Like, the entire time. You might have one Atalanta guy that was just in this area here as, like, a holding midfielder. But that's the thing. Like, nobody was willing to attack through the middle. 90% of our movements and our actions were
So what
just here and here.
this looks
Nothing
like
here.
this looks like when you're on the three-way highway
Yeah.
and that middle lane gets jammed up, there's a crash, and everything has to divert to the left and the right lane, and it just never works. It just
Nope.
gets so jammed up. Like if it happens on the far left or the far right lane, things kind of still work, but you put it right in the center. No, good luck. You're not getting home that night.
Yeah, apparently Coop Miners was like the most threatening player in the world, so no one wanted to go in the middle. But that's the thing. Like, had Coop Miners had a better finish on him, he would have finished again.
Because he had space.
He had space. Like, there's so many times that Coop Miners, because, like, for example, Coop Miners was running this game entirely because essentially he was unabated. Like, you might have Locatelli that would step up to him, and then that would free someone up over here. Gasparini, despite them not, like, that's what irritates me, man. Like, everyone's like, hey, we took a point off a rival and whatnot. I'm like, we were lucky to get that point. Like, I wouldn't even say that we dropped 2. We were lucky to get 1.
Well, we should be celebrating then that we're so lucky to have this point. Celebrate.
I know, right? But the thing is, like, the idea that I want to pitch to you guys, and I know he's suspended, but that was one of the things that I said in the reel. We need a midfielder that can take the game by the reins in the middle of the park.
If this continues, January is going to have something.
You have to. Because I think Fagioli is way too timid.
I think he is fine in a midfield that has somebody that's more forward thinking.
Yeah, he needs someone that, like, he needs something like a Pogba. He needs a Coop Miners. He needs, like, a guy that's an actual, like, bulldog in the midfield. Like, yeah, you can say Locatelli, but, like,
But
when
more
is it
creative. He needs
Yes.
somebody with that creative outlet as well.
Yes. Because my question is this. When is Allegri going to tell RBO, hey, you need to sit?
That's not going to happen.
I know, but
He
was
just
terrible
why
yesterday.
just don't have that conversation because it's not going to happen.
Like, think about it, man. Like, I know we joked last season contract year Rabiot, but, like, this is far from contract year Rabiot. And someone was saying, hey, you didn't have a preseason, you should be warmed up and blah. It's October.
Yeah, no, that's not an excuse.
It's October. Maybe the first week I would understand that. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
October.
it's 7th game. No, not absolutely not. Terminate Pogba and buy an actual number 10. So they're waiting. What's the date now?
I think it's October 5th. Yeah, they got to confirm that he actually has the yum yum sauce before they can do that. If he does, then they can do means for termination. But the issue is I'm afraid we're not going to make it till January. And this is me being skeptical on this whole thing.
We'll make it there, obviously.
We'll make it there, but
dates, who knows?
The question is will we be like this Milan game that we're having coming up from the international break is going to be decisive.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to determine whether Giuntoli was right, whether we are competing with Lazio, Roma, and Atalanta, or are we actually playing with the big boys? And the thing is like everything is there to compete with the big boys, but it's not there at the same time because of the consistency.
Yeah, and Vincenzo here saying McKennie can replace Rabiot, perhaps, but he's now being relied as a right midfielder. So, I mean, I don't even know what you call that position these days. If it's a wing back, if it's a midfielder, it kind of just gets used depending on the profile that occupies that space.
They call it a midfielder, but it's like a wing back, but it's honestly a right mid. McKennie's doing what a traditional right mid would do.
And that's what I'm saying. He's more
he's gone out of he's gone out of the central role and he's become a more, dynamic midfielder, which is good for him because that means, McKennie is honestly the bright spot out of this entire last 4 or 5 matches. Like McKennie is definitely a bright spot. The one thing that I was impressed that I saw was Allegri switching to a 4-3-3 towards the end of the game when he put in Walgani. but he hits it right on the head when he says there's no midfield chemistry with Locatelli, Rabiot, and Fagioli. I think there's just no chemistry with Locatelli and Rabiot in general, which surprises me. They've played together for 2 years and have absolutely no synergy with each other.
Yeah, they really should, honestly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
because they have played so much. Like, they have a lot of minutes together.
Calcio with Reno says, bad game, very sleepy. Yes, very sleepy.
Absolutely.
I felt bad.
I'm still sleepy, man. Oh man, I can go to sleep, right? I almost did before the stream.
Yeah.
Still
so
sleepy.
when you look at the top teams in Serie A, like if you look at your Napoli, your Milan, and your Inter, they all have that one main midfield centerpiece, right? So for Milan, it's going to be Adili, right? That's going to be their main midfielder. I think his name is Adil. Yeah, Yachin Adil. So he's 23. He's their main center mid. He's the one that dictates the play, controls the tempo with them. And then if you look at Inter, it's Chanalogu. Chanalogu's their main midfielder guy. That's that main middle threat that they have. And if he's not playing good, you have Aslani, and that's your other. And then you have Mkhitaryan. That can be, again, that main midfield threat that they need. But like they have a bunch of middle threats that opens up play for their wings because when you're defending these guys, you don't know who to cover. And then when you look at Napoli as well, and yeah, Napoli's not off to a great start, but it looks like they're figuring it out. But Napoli's midfield has Zelinski and Lobotka. Both of those are midfielders that can burn you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
With us, it's like, and we got to be honest. When has a defense sit there and said, "Ah, shit, here comes Rabiot and Locatelli"?
I mean, a couple times a year when Rabiot just bursts through and gets one in, I'm sure.
Like Rabiot's goals are essentially messy balls outside the box. Like it's a poacher's goal, right? But like for example, when has like a coach said, "Don't let him dribble"?
I know. I was trying to give some credit. No, they're not an offensive threat. Neither one of them.
So when you're scheming, that means, okay, so when I'm a coach and I'm scheming and I look at it, I'm like, okay, their center midfielders aren't really that threatening. Fagioli, whenever he's not going on an emotional downturn, he can be good. But who am I boxing out more? Chiesa's your first. And then your left wing back and McKennie are going to be that. Or your right wing back are going to be the guys that they focus in on. Because it's like we switched from, and it's ironic, right? We switched from one-dimensional play of Kostic's shoulders to now our right wing back or right and left wing back, and now teams are like, all right, so here's how we plan against Juve: overload the left and right side, and then force something through the middle because they got nothing in the middle.
Yeah, they figured that out last year as well, pretty quickly. KB saying McKennie's dad sent a message to Allegri regarding his son's correct position.
Was that real? I thought that was a burner account.
I think it was real.
All right.
So, I don't know. I was
gonna say, so yeah, Misak says Airborne 69 back. Is that his real dad, or is that like a fake account?
It must be a fake account. I don't know, because there wasn't too much news coming after that. Isn't that the best name on it's okay, I guess? No, it's real. Okay, so it is real.
His dad.
I guess that's what makes it less believable, is because it is Airborne 69. Yeah.
So let me give Papa McKennie a lesson here. So for Weah and McKennie to be fully functional in the way that he envisions it too, you may have to play a 4-3-3 with McKennie as a right center mid and Weah as a right winger. Can't work there's no way in hell you're going to get the same results in a 3-5-2 with McKennie and Weah like that he's anticipating. If I were him, I'd be happy that his son's starting. Because his son was kind of on the downturn, and if it wasn't for the right wing back adjustment, his son would have been dunked. So it's like, I understand, like, McKennie Sr. has his biases and his wants, but there's no way that he could do that in a 3-5-2.
So, is he saying that's the granddad?
No, it's his dad, McKennie Sr.
Yeah, he's saying it's McKennie Sr. Okay, I thought we did.
No, it's his dad. It's just his dad.
Okay, he confused me. Why add more to it? We already established this.
But look, I think it's going to be one of those times where even Misaka's saying it. I think it's time Rabiot sits. And I think you guys in the chat are with me on this one.
Well, he looked bad, and I think he needs to be punished or arrested or something. And I'm willing to get somebody else in there just to see. we're at that point.
So what makes this, and here's the issue, right? Rabiot is terrible moving the ball and being offensively, but he's got great defensive attributes, right? Like that's the one thing you can't take away from Rabiot is that he's a decent tackler in the middle of the park. Like he can tackle and he can move stuff. My thing is like, and I understand a lot of the issues with McKennie's technical ability, but why not try it?
Why
Like,
not?
why not give it a shot, right?
No, why not?
You slap Fagioli in the middle, or for example, you put Moretti on the left, Locatelli in the center, and then you put McKennie on the right so he can overlap with Weah so they can invert with each other.
And maybe they try this in practice.
I'm
Maybe it's a
sure.
thing. Yeah.
But part of me is like, I think Rabiot needs to sit.
KB wants to start doing the Allegri out here, so he's just asking politely right now, do they go for a new coach?
Who'd
Not
you
for
get?
this season. Like Allegri is here for at least the rest. Again, barring a complete collapse, which never happens. I mean, we have a squad that's capable enough to, I mean, not completely collapse. We like to believe so, anyways. He's not leaving.
The issue is, and I'm going to say it again. Who do you get, right?
Yeah. And maybe that's the thing. We just don't
You
know. We're just gonna argue. We're just gonna start yelling at each other
I
again.
know. We need to get to the Deserbi. We need the Deserbi. No, like, look, Italiano, Fiorentina's not going to let Italiano go to Juve midseason. No way in hell. Luciano
And that's the other thing, right? Yeah, you can just like, oh, it's November. Who are we gonna? Nobody except Conte because he's waiting.
Yeah, Conte's sitting there licking his chop. You know, it's funny. He said he might go to Roma, but he's like, "Hey, you know, the Roma, they don't have the pieces yet." Translation: Y'all are some broke motherfuckers. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, he only goes to teams with money.
Yeah, he only goes like, you know, you gotta take him in your nice Ferrari to eat at a €100 restaurant. That's the only way he signs for you. But
yeah,
there's a lot of things. Look, and my thing is like, Allegri is getting paid $10 million a season, and I don't say that 100% of it is on him, but there are some things he can adjust, right? Like, for example, he can't tell Rabiot, dude, you have a bust touch. Or he can't control Rabiot to not have a bust touch. But the one thing I think Allegri needs to do, and either these guys aren't working hard in practice and whatnot to get positions or to shuffle the lineup a little bit, but I don't understand how there's not a midfielder that could beat Rabiot for a starting position right now if he's not playing well. Because the only person on that squad right now, the only two players that are locks as starters right now is Danilo, and that might be very unpopular to some people, but he's been the most consistent guy right now.
Yes, we know who you're talking about. That doesn't believe that, sure.
Danilo, well, I meant in general fans, but and then Chiesa.
I'm gonna throw Bremer down.
That's fair, but those are going to be for sure your two, right? I think that's going to be the main thing, and I don't understand why Rabiot isn't untouchable. Because we saw when McKennie came to the United States for that preseason tour, he cooked. He looked really good.
Yeah, Vincenzo talking about McKennie in preseason. Yeah, preseason's a bit different too. No, I mean, I kind of agree. I would like to say that. I think it was Jeff. Was it Jeff or Bones wanted the same sort of setup? Move way to the right, McKennie in the midfield. It's plausible. Again, I feel like it would have been tested out in
it had to have been. I don't know why they haven't.
Yes, there's gotta. That's what I'm hung up on. Right, there must be something there.
It's a funny name. You're talking that Rabiot needs to be benched as if there's others that are any better.
Well, no, I think you have to like for a game. I'm not saying like sit him out completely.
Yeah, like
he's off the team.
No,
but he needs to sit a match. I believe
he needs to get rotated. This dude's running 90 minutes nonstop. And if you take Rabiot off, you can run a different package, a different setup with different attributes. That's the main point. We're not saying like, and this is where we might have been taken out of context here. We're not saying, oh, McKennie's 100% better than Rabiot or Moretti's better than Rabiot. We're saying more so that we need to make adjustments, right? We need to do something different because this is where Allegri's pragmatism kind of screws him out. Rabiot and Khedira are essentially kind of inverses of each other. Like I think Allegri wants Rabiot to play the Khedira role that Khedira was when he had him. And the issue is Rabiot doesn't have that football IQ that Khedira has. Rabiot, I hate saying it, but he's like Kostic, right? He's very one-dimensional.
He is.
He,
Yeah,
he
no one's gonna
is.
argue that.
He's the crazy horse for a reason. And the thing is like, and I said the issue with taking him off is you lose that defensive stability when you don't have Rabiot, because Rabiot is very aggressive in the midfield. He's a very aggressive tackler.
Yeah, you have Vincenzo here saying Moretti and McKennie have the best tactical awareness in midfield at the moment, but Aline saying Rabiot seems to be the only one capable of winning physical battles in the midfield. So what we have is pieces, but we don't have a single player in the midfield that has a couple of those pieces at the same time. And that's the problem, because you only have so many midfield positions. I mean, if you played with 5 midfielders and not 3 technically in wing backs, like if you just brought everyone to the center, I feel between all 5 players, you would have that one complete midfielder.
And that's the bad part too, right?
Yes. And we're just pieces at the moment.
Because like, and Rabiot might be like that ballsy, that aggressive guy, but his offensive capabilities aren't there. Like, he's got no offense in his game besides tap-ins in the box off a loose ball.
Yeah, which are nice once in a while.
They are. No, they're great, and you need them. But, like, it's just so ironic, right? Because, like, for example, Fajoli has the capabilities of being that guy, but he just seems so timid. Where it's like Moretti has, the cojones to go for it, but just doesn't have the final product.
Yeah. Smash them all together, you get something.
And the thing, I don't know, like, for the reason why McKennie in the midfield and Weah in the wing works for the United States is because just the way that they're balanced throughout, right? Like, for example, you have Yunus Musa that's right next to McKennie, that's a defensive cover that holds the middle of the park, and then you have Tyler Adams as well. Like, that's a pretty solid young dynamic midfield. And then what Weah and McKennie do in the United States is they overlap each other and invert. And my concern with that at Juve is if they did that, what McKennie's dad is saying that they should do, you leave a huge gap of space on the right of them, because I don't find Fajoli as fearless and aggressive to tackle and make tackles in that spot or to do something like that. And then if you pull Locatelli to compensate for the right coverage, you essentially leave Cambiaso and Chiesa on an island when it comes to build up on the left. So it's like, it's Locatelli, and this is the issue of having one midfielder that's kind of like the main setup guy for your back, because Bremer can't move the ball on the left, and then you have to move and it's right. You shift your defense in a sense where you have to shift Danilo to the left to play make and create on the left side because you don't have that in Rabiot. So if you have to move Locatelli and Danilo to build out of the left side of the field, and then you leave Weah, McKennie, and Gatti, all 3 of them love to go forward. So, like, when Gatti got subbed in for the Lecce match to get some minutes, Max is essentially yelling at Gatti, like, "Where are you going? Like, stop running." So the issue with Weah and McKennie being on at the field at the same time is you have a bunch of open gaps where you can try it against, a team that's 18th, 19th, or 20th. But if you do that against Milan, if you do that against, especially Milan with the pacey wingers that they have, you would just get harassed.
Man, people are definitely coming in. That got them fired up, I think. Talking about Rabiot.
Some good comments though, because Donald Jones says he's really a bad player and playing his best at right back because he basically just has the physical attributions. He's so bad at thinking in football terms, but the run up and down and try to cross in defense is the max he can do. Yeah, but that's also a valued asset to a team, right? If you're a threat off the wings, especially right now with how wingback play is essentially really the main play of the game, because like the number 10s slowly, if not has died out at this point. Like,
yeah,
a lot of your dangerous teams have dangerous players that are coming up from the wide position. Because think about it, you have 3 great wingers, and then you have a fullback that's really good that's coming up too. That is just, it's the way that the game is moving right now. So if you have a motor and you can go up and down, defend, and you can put in good balls into the middle, that gives you a whole new dynamic to attack. But the issue is it should not be your main go. It should be a supplementary option for your offensive capabilities. Like, I hate saying it, but Inter does it well, right? They attack through the middle with Chanaloglu and Mkhitaryan and Aslani and Barella, and then you're like, okay, great, we've found a way to slow their midfield down, and then boom, here comes DeMarco on the left side. Like, it's tough, man. It's tough to defend against a team that hits you with just a plethora of options. Aline says, Fagioli strikes me as the young Italian type that will only really bloom after 25. I hope that he does.
Well, he's turning 24 this year. So, yeah, I think he needs that extra little bit of maturity that he needs to just step up and be like, okay, yes, I'm a senior. I feel like another full season on the team. I don't know what else really. Like, you're here, you're in the big leagues. Does he need more European time? Is that going to be the step?
I just think he still thinks he's like still from the next gen.
Maybe, yeah, he's still kind of stuck there.
Like mentally, I think he is. Like, the one thing that I think he needs is that like knuckleheadedness of Dusan.
He needs an old vet basically coming up there and being like, buddy, step up. It's time to lead. I'm gone next year, so you're the next guy up. You're taking this team when I'm gone. He needs something like that. I don't think I mean, maybe Rabiot, but we don't know if he signs another 1-year deal. We don't have that guy, right?
Yeah, like, and you need and the problem is Juve's locker room is a bunch of young guys.
Like, yeah, that's definitely part of the problem.
Like, Danilo's your only old guy that's in that locker room in Tech. And like, with all due respect to Tech, he's not the most charismatic guy in the world.
He's not. He's just smoking a dart there at halftime. He's not yelling at the guys.
I was gonna say Tech's the kind of dude that's like you're hanging out and you're smoking a joint with in the back. Like that's who Tech is. Like, Tech is easygoing, carefree, just like trolls around a lot. Where it's like you need, and obviously not Bonucci, because Bonucci's like a giant tool bag, but like you need a Chiellini, you need a Buffon, like you need a guy that's gonna slap you in the face. Like you need. And that's the issue, right? Juve don't have those veteran guys in their locker room right now that can do stuff like that. Like, you need that 31, that 33-year-old guy that's just like, hey, come on, get your shit together. You're a grown-up. Like, they just don't have that. Like, Kostic to me doesn't seem like that guy. And then, like, for example, the only person that's vocal or loud like that is Dusan and Chiesa, but at the same time, you're like...
They're 24.
Yeah, they're 24. So it's like they're youngsters on their end as well. So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's like Danilo's the only seasoned guy there. Like, he really is. Like, I don't think there's another old guy.
I mean, Rabiot you can throw in there. He's been around the block. He's won a World Cup, so he's been around.
Technically, he wasn't on the roster. Was
he not?
No. He wasn't on that roster. He didn't win it, so it doesn't count for him.
Okay, so he's inexperienced. Screw him. So it's just Danilo. What is a Bonucci? Yes.
What is a Bum-Nucci? But that's the the thing about it, right? So like, this team mentally will probably be there in like 3 or 4 years, yeah. And I hate saying that, and it sucks for us.
No, I told you, I've been saying this for years. We're in this for the long haul because we haven't properly restructured like we're supposed to. So we keep on having these setbacks instead of just sticking to 1 5-year plan. We're now on like a 7 to 9 year plan. That's how it goes. I've seen it so many times. Nobody believes until it happens. Aline saying Quadrado was a candidate in that sense, but we let him go too easily. So his wages were not easy.
Yeah. He still wanted starter money for being a backup.
Yeah, his step overs were not easy on the eye. So there were reasons, for better or worse, but there were certainly reasons.
Yeah, because like, for example, you look at like Inter, which is probably the more complete team in the league right now. Their veterans are Mkhitaryan, Acerbi, De Vrij, Chanaloglu, Sanchez. Like, those are all like locker room experience, right? Like, those guys, yeah, you're not expecting phenomenal numbers from them. Like, your main guy is going to be Thuram and Lautaro. But these guys all have experience. Like, those are the guys that ring you in and say, hey, man, sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen. Because, like, for example, the dominant Juve teams of 15, 16, and et cetera, where it's like, you have Barzagli, you have Buffon, you have Chiellini, you have Mandzukic. You have Higuain, all veteran dudes that have seen everything, seen there, been there, done that. Where it's like, you look at the squad that we currently have right now, and out of this entire roster, Danilo has won something, like has had experience in winning. Chesney maybe with Serie A, but that he came from Arsenal and Roma. With all due respect, the Arsenal that he came from were a bunch of losers. McKennie, if you want to count his international experience, but even then, I think McKennie's a little bit too timid to command the locker room at Juve.
Mm-hmm.
Chiesa only has the Euro to his name.
He's too American, and that's the thing. You almost just need a strong, at least somebody that understands Italian very strong, which Danilo does, right? Like he's Brazilian, but he has a good command of the Italian language. That's part of the problem, I think, as well. When you have somebody like McKennie, that he doesn't have any command of the Italian language really at all to do that.
Yeah. So, and then like Cambiaso, first season again.
Oh man, he looks like he's 12. Give him a break.
Yeah, it's just like, like you need multiple guys in the locker room, and it's like our average age of the squad is like 24, 25 years old.
Which is good and it's bad. I mean,
it's good and it's bad, right?
Our realistic goals, not playing in Europe, just trying to get top 4, not trying to do too much this year. It's actually not a bad position. We just have to be realistic of what those outcomes are, and those outcomes, unfortunately, are going to be the last 3 games.
Yeah, the only way that like this team produces to expect or above or beyond expectations is if you're able to find someone that's really able to really communicate with, like, for example, a younger squad, right? And there's just not that many guys out there. You might strike gold like Milan did with Pioli, but like for him, that's honestly what happened. He took a young squad, and the young squad believed in him, and now they've riped and matured. It's just it's a mental thing for us. That's what kind of irritates me, is like, because we'll have games where we'll absolutely dominate Lazio, and then we'll struggle against Lecce, and there's only so much the coach can do, and then there's so
maturity.
much it is.
It's maturity. Yeah. Why doesn't Nicoluzzi Caviglia never play? I mean, he just made the team, and he made the team because we didn't buy anybody else. He's good for Serie C for his age, but I think he's not going to really compete that well at Serie A week in, week out, especially when we haven't had a game where we've commanded to the point where we can let somebody unproven like Nicolas Lucy come in and get some minutes. That's why we haven't really seen him yet, in my opinion. We need Roy Kent. I mean,
he would punch people.
Yeah, he would have a broken knee as well. But I mean,
I think he's talking about Quadrado here. Many years here could still have been a decent backup. Probably would have accepted less. No, he didn't.
He didn't. No, that's
the issue.
Problem.
He wanted $3.5 million, which is more than what Rugani makes currently. So he wanted $3.5 million a season, and Juve were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that."
And because we're actually trying to do a proper rebuild now with Gintoli, with somebody at the helm that actually knows how to do a rebuild, it also didn't make sense with taking away those minutes from the other potential fullbacks or wingbacks. Like you want Cambiaso to get those minutes instead of giving them to Quadrado, for instance, right? So with the wages, again, if he came in and said, "Yeah, I'll take $2 million a year," I don't think there would have been any issue. But it's just the lines that the stars didn't really line up anymore, right? Like they were lined up for so many years, and they just kind of drifted apart to the point where, unfortunately, it didn't work.
Yeah, because like, and that's why he went to Inter, right? Because it was in Italy, and they gave him like a fair amount. But Juve, I think it was 1.5 to 2 million, and Quadrado's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not taking that."
Yeah, so it was a business move from both parties. At the end of the day, he could have taken less and stayed.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to. Frankie saying Morata would have done really well with this squad. Unfortunately, we signed Milik, so Milik is. Well, it depends, right? If Morata doesn't extend, because I think Morata's a free agent at the end of the year, but I don't know if he comes.
That's what I say. I think that ship has sailed. Honestly,
yeah,
he's getting up there in age as well. It's one of those things. If it would have happened, it would have happened.
He's actually good this season too, which is ironic.
I mean,
And then Allegri desperately wanted to move on from Bonucci for sure. I think Quadrado possibly, but
maybe. And there could have been something there in the locker room that we don't know. Like, yeah, he danced around. He's a fun guy, but was there some? Because that happens when people are around for too long, especially when things start turning south. There's a bit of bitterness there, and some of those old timers just need a fresh start. I've seen that, right, where people are, arguably in a better position at a better company, but they've been there for so long, and they actually go and make that change to what you would consider a lesser company, but they're happier just because they're out of that rut. So, yeah, they're people. They're people, right? We're complicated beasts.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I think we've beaten this dead horse.
We've beaten the horse. Aline coming in with so many more now. Yeah, move on from Venusian quads. Yeah.
I think he's saying with the younger people won't question them as much.
Yeah, that could be a dynamic. It certainly is. Oh man, yeah, that's a lot to unwrap. So much dynamic, and that's the thing. We can speculate all we want here. At the end of the day, we are not in the locker room. We are not in the back offices. It's just our opinion, our best insight, just being absorbed with the team, watching it, doing this basically day in, day out. You have a pretty good understanding of what's going on, and you can speculate and extrapolate. But at the end of the day, you don't really know shit. So
yeah.
I mean, that's where we stand. I just got home after some beers. Very nice, very nice. All right, Dash. After that little bit of awkward silence, we may as well hit the screen, put the music on.
You did it out of order. You usually hit the music.
I usually do. We did everything out of order today.
Unacceptable. Do better. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in for our Monday weekend recap. I just used the wrong lines. Happy Monday, Dash. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you like the video just so we get pushed on the algorithm. And we're almost monetized because we got our shit sorted out. So we'll be offering you some cool perks and some fun jazz. We just got to finalize those, right, Devo? But on that news, guys, the UEFA Super League sucks.
At least we think it does, because we're biased, and we'll talk about it maybe Thursday. Stay tuned. We'll let you know. Thanks for joining in, and we will catch you on the next